So do you want to talk about like you losing your hair?
Yeah, it took some acceptance for sure. And I can't say that anybody body shamed me about it,
Okay.
but I did feel obviously that I must have been less than, because sometime in my late 20s, as my hair was really thinning, I went out and bought Rogaine and I started regrowing my hair. And I felt good about that. You know, the writing was probably on the wall for a little while before I finally gave up and said, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm going to accept where I'm at. And I mean, I can say that was body shaming, but it was also like age. It's part of like the whole age thing in this culture too, where it was like, okay, by the fact that I don't have hair and I'm losing my hair is a sign that I'm getting older and I'm not ready to be old yet, as though bald and old are conflated. And so, yeah, it took me a while. And actually, it's one thing that I would say was really beneficial in our relationship, which is that actually as soon as we got together, I threw it away. I threw it away, which is kind of fascinating to me because I guess one thing was I felt like my looks were important while I wasn't in a secure relationship, or while I still sort of believed that how is the opposite sex going to see me? And when I knew that, like, that you thought I was handsome regardless.
I do really think you're handsome.
That helped me actually to be able to really accept that I am now just a bald man. It's just that simple, you know? So my own comfort, and some of it too, I was in my late 30s at that point, and I think I'd always told myself, when I hit 40, I'm giving up. Like, that's fine. I don't want to be bald in my 30s.
Yeah.
But that's also a thing. Like, I didn't magically come up with that number. I didn't pull that out of my butt and say, oh, 40 is a perfectly good time to be bald, but 35 is a bad time to be bald. That was given to me, and that's part of a body shaming thing that we do as a culture. You should be a certain way or else. And if you're not that way, guess what? You know, they knew, you know, the marketers knew that in my house, there was a man of, you know, mid 30s who was losing his hair, because the amount of brochures that I got for hair replacement surgery was pretty shocking.
Yeah, there's always like, you're not good enough. You need to do this one more thing so that you can look a certain way, you know? So there's like all this marketing that is just making people feel like they're not good enough. And with that, people don't have like really good, healthy relationship with themselves.
Right.
You know, I think like that is so key. Is like, we can talk about like having healthy relationship with people around you, but I think having healthy relationship actually has to come from you.
It does. And I think that what ultimately now has happened, and I see, is that, you know, for a while there was the whole dad bod thing. Remember, like, oh, dad bod, that's like a cool thing. It's good. If you're not fit and you're a little flabby and a little bit hairy and, you know, undefined, then that's kind of like a sexy thing. And yeah, I think that was fairly kind of short-lived. But my point on that is that there are these two things. One is that self-care is actually a really good thing.
Self-care is really important.
Self-obsession with how I appear is not a good thing.
Yeah, that is like, for me, self-obsession on how I appear is one of the reasons that I didn't put on makeup for a very long time. Because I didn't know the balance between self-care and self-obsession and spending hours putting on makeup. You know, so I was just like, I would rather not put on makeup if starting to put on makeup is going to start defining who I am. Because I just wanted to be like, I can get up in the morning, just wash my face, put on some lotion, and leave the house without putting on makeup. I didn't want to be dependent on it. But once I was confident that I was liked who I was, then in my 30s, I was like, you know, I can put a little bit of foundation, I can put on some lipstick so that I can make myself feel good. But I wasn't doing it to make for other people.
Right. Or that it was, there's something that's not good enough about
Correct.
me, therefore I need it. Yeah. In that sense, then it's about a healthy relationship with yourself too. So this whole thing that we do around body shaming basically it interferes with our own healthy relationship with ourselves.
Correct.
You know, if I have a good relationship with myself, then what somebody else comes at me with is less painful. And sometimes we see certain comedians have really kind of flipped the switch. You've got someone like Amy Schumer, Jim Gaffigan, people who are not and neither of them are fat by any means, but they're not they don't fit this ideal standard that the magazines have sold us. And I'm sure both of them, as examples, of actually didn't just like wake up one morning and say, hey, I have no body issues. It was a process of actually saying, you know what, this is who I am. And now if I make fun of it, then nobody can use it against me because I beat you to the punchline. Yeah. I'm funnier about my body than you could ever be. Right?
Yeah.
And not all of us actually have the benefit of being able to beat someone else to the punchline or actually laugh at ourselves because there's so much stuff that's just piled on.
Yeah, there's so much.